What's up, Amazon sellers? Has your supplier been warning you of possible shortages to shipments within the UK? Well, recently in the United Kingdom has encountered problems around the shortage of HGV heavy goods vehicles and their drivers. And this could be one of the top reasons why your supplier is warning you. Today, I want to share with you more about this shortage of HGV drivers and how it could affect Amazon sellers. So stay tuned. Right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson and I've been selling, or should we say reselling, on Amazon, doing online arbitrage, buying from retail stores online and reselling on Amazon for a profit for the last 4 years. In the UK, we've recently broken the 7-figure mark in the last 12 months and also started in the USA. Now, I'm looking hopefully to expand in the near future into possibly another marketplace, and if you are interested in learning how I did it, what I do and everything that I'm learning on my journey, then do make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. That's just going to let you know about everything that I know when I share the videos with you. Okay, so enough about me. What are we going to go through today? Well, first things first, number one, I'm going to go through what is the current situation. Number two, I'm going to be talking about how business could be affected by this. Number three, I'm going to talk about what you can do around this problem to obviously help mitigate it. And then finally, number four, I'm going to share some of my personal thoughts around the situation and possibly what we're doing as well. So let's jump into it now. So first things first, number one, what is the current situation? Well, look, recently the UK government has announced that, should we say, there is a growing problem, crisis perhaps, on the sustainability of, should we say, the supply chain within the UK. And this crisis is pretty much based around the number of HGV drivers, heavy goods vehicle drivers, who are driving the physical trucks, the lorries, to get the goods where they need to be. Now, there are many reasons why, should we say, HGV drivers have been reduced, the number of them have been reduced down. And according, should we say, to the New York Times, they're talking about compensation for HGV drivers in the UK has decreased over the last couple of years. Also, while the UK government as well has actually limited the number of EU nationals in the UK who are able to be HGV drivers within, should we say, working within the UK. Now, the one thing which I will say, and what we've heard a lot about, is that most HGV drivers used to be doing, should we say, like an 8-hour day driving, but actually, because of the shortages, they've been driving a lot more and obviously hitting the limit of what legally can be done. And obviously that has had an impact upon them themselves, but also as well, just because there's so much demand right now, that's a real problem. And we're seeing that because of legal limits as well, we can't have HGV drivers working in excess. So there isn't much flexibility or capacity within the existing labour force for HGV drivers. Now, the result of this is what? Well, basically it's a shortage of everything, basic goods, everything we're buying, such as grocery items, even fuel. We've seen panic buying on fuel. This has been a massive problem across the UK. And the government has even ordered the military to, should we say, get in and actually start driving their trucks. So something is obviously not right there when you're calling in the army to solve the problem. Now, again, coming back to, according to the New York Times, the UK government, however, made some solutions to these by sending invitations, so should we say, HGV drivers to drive again. And these are ones that are being retired, but also as well, we are seeing that they are doing a lot of work to try and get people back into work for driving heavy goods vehicles. Now, according to the BBC, the UK government has lightened their restrictions on drivers from the EU and allowing them to, should we say, doing more than 2 drop-offs per week and also doing more deliveries each week within the UK. Now, what I will say is, despite all of this and the solutions the UK government putting in, increasing the number of hours people are working, bringing in the military, allowing more people from the EU to come and spend longer in the UK as well, has it worked? Well, quite simply, what we are seeing, there are still struggling for HGV drivers during the peak season, during this holiday season, to get the goods where they need to be. Because, well, quite simply, people are spending so much money on the purchases they're making. Getting the goods where they need to be is a real challenge. Now, the result of this is purchases of goods are soaring to the point whereby we need more shipments. And as a result, due to supply and demand, what we are seeing is that prices are going up on essential goods because we just can't get them. We're seeing shelves in supermarkets having shortages, empty shelves, this is a real concern, and especially now that we're going into the busiest holiday or the busiest season of the year, the Christmas season, this is going to be shortage deliveries, and in particular around the e-com industry, where we are obviously affected as Amazon resellers. It could have a big impact on what we do. Okay, so quick question for you guys. Are you being affected right now by the shortage of HGV drivers? Let me know in the comments down below. Just drop me a yes or a no. And if you want to tell me what it is, I'd love to know how many of my viewers are being affected by this. You know, we're seeing it with some of our suppliers. Even on the retail side, they're saying that there's delays, we're seeing problems. So let us know in the comments down below. I want to know, are you affected by the shortage of heavy goods vehicle drivers? Now, this leads me nicely on to chapter number 2, how are Amazon sellers going to be affected? Well, look, we should always remember that HGV drivers play a vital role in the supply chain. They move the goods from point A to point B, and they are helping our suppliers move the goods from whether it's container ships to their warehouses to the shops, and so on and so on. And even distribution within, say, the mailing depots. Now, with this in mind, less HGV drivers means less shipments, and obviously that's going to slow down or even stop some supply chains, which is going to be a real problem. Now, for Amazon sellers, if you are an FBA seller, here are some of the things that might be happening to you or be affected, or even FBM, just be aware of that. This is going to be what's affecting you. So let's go through it now. Okay, so first things first, number 1, stock shortages. Now, by stock shortages, I mean shortages from our suppliers being able to supply the stock that we want to buy. Typically during the Q4 period, we're going to be ramping up the number of stock items we're buying, the volumes we're buying. But if they're struggling to get hold of it, they might, number 1, put in limitations around the quantity you can buy, but also number 2, just stop us from buying those goods altogether, because obviously we're buying too many, or the fact that they identify us as a reseller, and they're going to say no. So be careful. Now, this is going to be a real challenge for us when we're buying a large number of goods, and it's going to potentially affect us. One top tip you can do for this is, especially if you're doing like wholesale distribution, contact your suppliers, understand how they are going to be affected or how they are currently affected by this problem. Now, for arbitrage sellers, and this is like me going online, buying from retail stores online, but also in store, it could also be a massive challenge for us, because why people can be panic buying for Christmas early, i.e. they are buying the deals that I'm buying. We're certainly seeing it in grocery stores right now with empty shelves, and even some online stores we're seeing a lot of products selling out. And this is going to make restocking a lot harder and more difficult due to these items going out of stock. So just be mindful of that. The online space, they could have that impact. Now, number 2 is around prep centers. Now, quite simply, if you're using a prep center, or even, hey, maybe even yourself, when you're shipping your products to the prep center, or even yourself, or even from the prep center to Amazon through UPS or even a third-party thing, they might be experiencing issues around a shortage of drivers to get the goods where they need to be. Now, this is generally the drivers delivering the goods, because obviously we need HGV drivers to deliver our goods from the warehouse to us, and then us to Amazon. So just be aware of that. Now, what I did is I asked members from the FastTrackFBA community about this problem, and 14 of them said that they were not affected by the problem, but 12 did actually vote yes to say they were affected. So it's about a 50-50 split to say how many people are going to be affected or are being affected right now by this problem around the HGV driver shortage. So just be aware of that. We are feeling it in the trenches right now. Now, after sharing that question with our community, one seller actually even shared a picture of an email conversation they had with a supplier stating that they've been ordering products from one of their suppliers, and they're having problems. It's been 3 weeks now because they cannot get the drivers to deliver the goods. So it's a super interesting time. Some people are saying there's no issue at all. Other people are saying it's having a real impact. So just be aware. Now, the thing which I'll say is if you are an FBM seller who uses, shipping for your business to deliver it to the customer, chances are you might be affected as well, depending on, the shipping provider you use. Now, just be aware that they may reduce down the number of deliveries they can make, or perhaps maybe actually increase the shipping time, and that can have impacts upon deliveries for your customers and obviously your metrics in Amazon. So be super aware of that as well. Just keep an eye on your delivery, or should we say your shipment provider. Now, lastly, what I will say is if you are a private label supplier, shortage of delivery of your products coming in, and this is talking about getting from the products you probably got shipped and created in China, they get shipped to the UK or the USA, or should we say the UK, and then shipped from the shipyards to your warehouse. That can have delays because of the lack of HGV drivers. So just be super aware of that, and that can actually add into your timelines of getting the product from where it needs to be to obviously where your warehouse is. Now, all in all, what I will say is these problems can compound and become actually a nightmare for us as Amazon sellers. So just be aware of them, keep on top of all your metrics, and just plan for the worst and hope for the best. Why? Because during this Q4, we want to drive our revenue and obviously maximize our profits. Okay, so right now we're talking about HGV driver issues. Now, the one thing which I'll say is finding opportunities to buy, resell on Amazon is hard enough. Compound that with the fact that you're going to have delivery problems, it just makes it even harder. And if you are like me and you understand that it takes time to find these leads, but interesting enough, you want to still keep growing your business, then what I'd really recommend to do is check out FastTrackFBA Leads. This is a service I created whereby we've got a team of VAs in the USA and the same and a different team in the UK looking for opportunities to buy low, resell high on Amazon for a profit from online retail stores. Now you can literally buy tokens from us, go into our web platform, see every single one of the opportunities that we find, all these leads, not 5, not 10, but every single one, review them, review all the stats. And when you're happy with the leads that you see, you can unlock them. You can then go to the supplier, buy the deal, and then resell it on Amazon for a profit. Trust me, it's game changing. No one else does it like this. And you get to pick and choose your own leads and help you grow your businesses when and where you want them. I'll drop a link down below. Check it out. FastTrackFBA Leads. It's completely game changing. Okay, so this leads me nicely on to chapter number 3, which is about what can you do to help, should they, manage this problem. Well, what I will say, look, there is nothing to really worry about right now that you need to act with immediate attention, but here are some things that you might want to do to manage and help prevent it if it becomes more of a problem, or if you're experiencing problems right now, there's nothing urgent you need to do. So, first things first, number 1, what I will say is, do you think about restocking and restock earlier than, should we say, normal, probably early as possible. Now, purchasing stock, restocking is probably one of the first things that we do to really grow our business and to scale quicker, but maybe buying those items slightly earlier, maybe getting more stock in than you normally would to hold it, is just going to make sure that if there is a bigger problem, then you are going to be not affected or affected less by it, or less by the lack of the shortage of HGV drivers. Now, restocking can be a massive challenge, but if you get in there restocking early, it's just going to help you continue selling those best-selling products. Now, number 2, what I'd recommend is find another store, find another supplier. Now, the reason why I say this is the fact that right now they might not have the same pricing, but if you've got backup options already, then you already know where to go if your main supplier runs out of stock due to the HGV shortage, or maybe their delivery times are just unworkable. So by having another supplier is going to really help you make sure you get those top selling products in Amazon at all times. And you might be thinking, hey, they're not as profitable. Well, remember, if you're having trouble with them, so is everyone else. And what you're probably going to see is supply decreases, so demand goes up. And when we see that, we see prices rise. So that supplier that wasn't as profitable might now become as equally as profitable. So just be aware of that. Now, remember, time is key. And the faster you look for new suppliers and get these products back into stock is going to really help you managing that revenue and ultimately your profits. Now, you might be asking, what if stock is really running out? Is there a way to earn revenue? Well, of course. Well, what you can do, number 1, is increase your price. Again, I talked about it previously, supply and demand. When stock shortages happen, demand is still there, but supply is going down. So what you can do is increase your price. And as a result, you're going to make more profit per unit to keep that profitability there. Now, with the limited amount of stock, you're going to have a lot less competition, and as a result, you're now going to command a higher buy box price. So you can look at increasing that price. Okay, so that leads me nicely on to chapter number 4, and that's my personal thoughts about this. Well, look, if you're asking me about my thoughts on this problem and its impact is, from my business, and we are doing in the UK over £1 million, is that right now, personally, across our business, we're seeing minimal impact. And I'd probably say that we're probably buying, we're 100% OA, we're not wholesale. So they're using national distribution networks for deliveries of goods. And if the supplier runs out of stock, then obviously we can't buy it. So we don't really see that too much. The couple of metrics we really look at are revenue. Well, revenue is going up, our purchases are going up every week. And the other one about purchases is we look at our restock percentage, and that is still very high. We run about 85% restock. So 85% of the ASINs we buy are restocked every week. Well, not every week, quite regularly. They're still running high. If I see that restock going down, then I'm definitely going to be seeing this kind of problem. Now, for me, we're not seeing a big issue, but the one thing which I'm going to be really aware of is coming into the Q4 period, and especially into like late November, December, we'll really be keeping an eye on supply, but also our price and the market competition, because, and I mentioned it earlier, supply and demand. If we are seeing problems around the HGV goods delivery, then we're probably going to see that demand, or that's demand stay the same, if not go up, because of Q4, but supply will go down. Now, the one area that I have seen, and it's not from myself, it's from other sellers who I know, is especially around the wholesale distribution side. Now, why do I mention this? Is because when we do online arbitrage, it's generally arbitrage sellers and wholesalers together on the same listing selling. Now, if you take away the wholesalers, if you take away the distributors, what do you get? Well, you get less supply, but also as well, these guys, obviously, they don't have as much supply as the wholesalers would. Now, what does that mean? It means that potentially there's not going to be as much supply, so prices will probably go up. So I'm going to be super, super aware of that, should we say, going forward, looking at that supply and demand, and particularly the supply side. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again, because of the wholesale distribution, that's where we're seeing the problem and the delays in that. This could be an amazing Q4 whereby online arbitrage sellers can actually get some insane profitability reselling on Amazon. I know, it's going to be an interesting time. But now, look, what I will say is that one of the shortages, or should we say, the shortage in HGV drivers is just one of the problems which can affect our restocking on Amazon. And what I want to do around here is just share another kind of issue that we've seen as well, and actually still ongoing right now, which is around the FBX price, which is around global container shipping and global shipping, which is part of this HGV problem as well. And I'll share a link around here, which is going to really help you understand. And if you want to know, these prices have increased by over 1,000%, and that is going to have an effect on especially low value or low profit items during Q4. Check out that video. It might help you with some opportunities to buy in the Q4 period, which maybe you wouldn't have bought last year. But what I will say is hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, give me a big thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button down below. But for me, Thomas Parkinson and FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.